Hey y'all, it's Natalie today for Cherry on Top, and this month's Technique Tuesday is focused on pocket cards. So I'm going to be making a pocket page today using that cut apart sheet right there from Simple Stories. The collection is called Mix and a Mingle, and I'm doing it in a 6x8 flip book that's also created by Simple Stories. But I know a lot of people do mini albums around this time of year for like December Daily or something similar. And a lot of people use smaller albums. So I thought that this would be a fun inspiration piece to create for such a project. And if you have never done a 2x2 pocket page, it's super fun, easy to fill it up with like lots of really cute little embellishments, and a good way to tell a story of like a series of photos or maybe a bunch of small photos that kind of don't really have a big story, but you just want to put them all together in a compilation. So I'm creating this album for a little trip that we took last December, and we did some Christmas things. So I have cut out a few pictures there. I put them on like a collage and printed them out on my printer. So that's how I get them the proper size. And I am going to back all of the cut part pocket cards as well as the photos with white cardstock. So I went ahead and cut a bunch of squares of white cardstock. And I'm just laying them out onto my page protector to kind of get the feel of what I would like for it to look like. Sometimes I just work on one side at a time, and sometimes I have to keep in mind the other side of the page protector. And in this instance, I knew I wanted to have a couple of squares that had sequins in them. So since you would be able to see through the sequin pocket, I decided to work kind of on both sides here. So I'm showing you, I turned over the page protector and I'm kind of drawing it out of what I want it to look like. And basically it's going to be pretty simple because I'm going to do a really large photo on the other side of the pocket page of the boys with Santa. So I just want the back side of this pocket page to say Santa Claus, and there's going to be 2 spots for sequins. So that's why I put those Post-its on those 2 squares to tell myself, like, don't put anything here because these are going to be sequin pockets. And you can put a card and fill it with sequins and kind of like have it not a see-through page, but you still need to consider what is going to be on that other side because you're going to close up the pocket when you put the sequins inside, right? So I'm just trimming down all of the photos in the cards so they'll have a nice white border from these pre-made white cardstock pieces. I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that. So magically, we're going to change over here. And there you see everything is backed. And you can see I have my coffee and my Christmas cup. Like I am ready for some Christmas scrap in here. I also have those letters you can see up at the top left that say Santa Claus. And those are just some stickers from my stash, but they match this collection really well. So those are going to be what I use to fill the pockets on the other side. So this is just a little embellishment. One of my photos had a lot of white space. I tried to heat emboss directly onto the photo and it did not work well. And then you can see here that heat embossing didn't work great because I forgot to use my little static tools. So those little powder static tools are really essential to getting really fabulous heat embossing, so it won't have like all those areas where it's stuck where I didn't want it to stick. So I heat embossed that with some red glitter heat embossing or embossing powder from Wow Embossing that you can get at the Cherry on Top store. And I'm going to set it aside to just kind of cool down, and then I'll slice it up to put on the photo later to hide that erroneous embossing over there down at the bottom. So I'm going to embellish each pocket and then work on the other side as well. So it's on the other side, I'm just going to keep all the pockets the white. And I found this old rub-on sheet from 49th and Market. It's from a Christmas collection from last year, but it had all these cute stars that match this collection. So I'm going to use the rub-on sheet to just randomly put stars on the back sides of each of these cards. And that's going to be what I stick those stickers down on that say Santa Claus. So I'm just putting the rub-ons on kind of haphazardly, mostly on the edges because I'm going to put the alpha down right in the middle. So there's my cheat sheet telling me like which letters go where, because it would be terrible to like put them in the wrong spot and then turn it over and it actually not say Santa Claus. So I do go look for some puffy hearts. I found these Jen Hadfield ones because I just want to add a little bit of something to that card right there. So I stick the heart right in the middle. And sometimes I add embellishments on the cards and sometimes I do not. Same with the photos. Some of the photos are pretty busy, so they don't really need anything. I also will add embellishments on top of the page protector towards the end of completing this page. Excuse me. So I also really love, especially in a mini album, to have items like sticking outside of the page protector. A lot of really interesting elements. So I'm going to stick this little ephemera piece off of that photo, but the other side is showing through, right? So, excuse me, I'm going to heat emboss another snowflake on the back side of this die cut. And I probably could have found a matching die cut to just kind of stick on top of it, but I thought this would be just another interesting bit. Only a little bit is going to stick out because I'm going to stick it, use my tiny attacher to put it right on the photo so that you can't see the staple on the other side of the white cardstock. So just the top of the snowflake is sticking out. So I always like to, plan ahead and think about those little types of elements that you're going to be able to see when you flip the page on either side. So I'm going to go in and add another bit of rub-ons with the alphas here. And this collection is Simple Stories Mix and a Mingle, and it's so cute. And I will say the sticker sheet and the die cut ephemera are pretty small, and I think that they do that intentionally because they know a lot of times people create Christmas albums like December Daily or other projects like that, and they use smaller formats than they typically use. Typically, like on a 12 by 12 page is what a lot of people's go-to is. So they have intentionally created these embellishments smaller, and I appreciate that. They are fabulous for this type of project. Now, I also will say this is in a 6x8 flip book. If you've ever used a flip book, they're not quite the same as the binders because they have a gutter on the page protector that makes it stick out further, because the flip book almost has a binding that's similar to like a post-bound album. So all the pages, the binding is going to be hidden. So you're going to see later on how I used this regular snapbook page protector to fit into the flip book. I had to edit it a little bit. So I'm still embellishing everything. There I have that heat emboss stamping that I'm going to add to the photo down there. My little guy had lined all of his little babies up in the hotel where we went. I think he did it, or it could have been the naughty little elf who ended up following us all the way on our trip. I don't remember. We're getting there. By the way, this is a trip to Wilderness of the Smokies in the Great Smoky Mountains. And if you've never been, it's really fabulous. It's an indoor water park. They go all out at Christmas. We saw Santa. Mrs. Claus read bedtime stories. Like, it was a good experience. Highly recommend. So there you can see I have the Santa Claus on the back side. Everything's looking good over here. They just need a few more embellishments and some sequins. So that's where we're going to go now. So I'm going to fill up those 2 empty pockets with the sequins, and then I will go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch across the top just to make sure that they are very secure inside each one. And I used green thread just because that's what I already had in there, and the green is in the collection and I hadn't used a lot of green on the page, so I wanted to make sure that all the colors were shown. So now I'm going to use some of these foam stickers, which these are actually my favorite parts of this collection, and I'm going to stick them directly onto the outside of the page protector. Now look, I'm showing you the gutter. So this, from what I can tell, and I even looked on Simple Stories website, their flip books do not have 2x2 page protectors, but it's really easy to use the snapbook page protectors and edit them. So I just cut a piece of acetate transparency, and I cut it the width of the gutter and the width of the, where the holes are. And I lined it up and just kind of drew with my white gel pen on where the holes went, and I punched the holes. And now I am using that extra little fat bit that doesn't have holes punched to attach the transparency to the page protector. And so I'm going to use some washi tape, but you can do all kinds of things. You could just do strips of paper because I am going to sew over it later on so that it really stays. So right now I'm using washi tape, and I use that same green color, and I'm just, sticking it down the side, covering up the existing holes because I'm not going to need those because I created new holes on the transparency, right? I'm going to fold that over and roll the tape up the back side to attach the transparency to the page protector. Then I'm going to go off screen, and I am going to do that same zigzag stitch I used to hold in my sequins along the line where the transparency meets the washi tape. And that will just really ensure that this transparency is attached to the page protector. It's not going to come loose, and it will have the necessary gutter for when you put the flipbook together, and nothing will be hidden. If I didn't do this and I stuck the page protector in the flipbook as it was without that gutter, then the binding of the flipbook would have covered up like those left sides of the photos and the pocket pages, that little left column there. So like I said, those foam stickers stick really fabulously to the outside of the page protector. I am adding a little bit of Nouveau adhesive just to be sure, but I honestly don't think that they would have come off even if I didn't add additional adhesive. So I think we're about done with this side of the embellishment. And yeah, we're going to the end. And so I'm going to have some close-ups here of what these look like on either side. If you've never tried pocket pages, I hope you're inspired to use some cut-aparts or some pocket cards to try a pocket page. You can do them in any size. They literally come in any size: 6x8, 12x12, 9x12, 4x4. It's a really fun way to use pocket cards. So let me know if you have any questions, and head over to Cherry on Top and check out this Christmas collection because it's super cute. I can't get enough of it. So this was the front side, and the back side's coming up right here. So I hope you guys are inspired. Y'all have a great day. Bye, y'all.